Have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on inside your body on a microscopic level when you put it under pressure? Well, today we're going to dive into the absolutely brilliant and sometimes kind of dangerous world of cellular adaptation. It's a fundamental process that keeps us all alive, but it also holds the key to understanding how things can go wrong. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with a question you've probably asked yourself at the gym. How do our muscles actually get bigger when we lift weights? I mean, the answer isn't just you lift heavy things. It's the perfect everyday example of your cells adapting to a new kind of stress, and really, it's the key to understanding this entire topic. I want you to think of it like this. Your body has this amazing toolkit with a few core strategies for dealing with any stress you throw at it. These tools are incredible for survival, for growth. But as we're about to see, when that stress becomes chronic or, pathologic, these same incredible tools can get pushed way too far. And sometimes that leads down a pretty dangerous path. To really get how cells adapt, first, we have to understand their ultimate goal. And that goal is a constant, delicate balancing act. The name for this core principle? Homeostasis. Yep, homeostasis. So picture your heart for a second. It is perfectly calibrated to pump against your normal blood pressure. That is its sweet spot, its happy place, its state of equilibrium. It's not working too hard, it's not slacking off, it's just right. But what happens when that stress changes? What if your blood pressure suddenly goes way up? Or what if you stop using a muscle completely? The whole system gets thrown out of whack. And to find a new balance, a new homeostasis, your cells have literally no choice but to adapt. They've got to change their very structure and function. So, how exactly do cells adapt when the workload changes? Well, the most straightforward response is to either size up or size down. And they can do that by changing the size of the cells or the number of them. Now, this is a really key distinction we have to make. To handle more work, an organ basically has two options. It can make its existing cells bigger, that's called hypertrophy, or it can just produce more cells, and that's called hyperplasia. And in a lot of cases, both of these things are happening at the same time. But how does a cell actually get bigger? It's not just, puffing up with water. Oh no, it's this super sophisticated internal construction project. The cell literally activates genes that kickstart the production of proteins, building up its internal skeleton. And at the same time, it's churning out more of its own little power plants, organelles like mitochondria, to fuel its new, bigger size and its bigger job. And this brings us to a crucial exception. Some tissues, we call them permanent tissues. Think your heart, your skeletal muscles, your nerves. They can't make new cells. They just can't. So when you're lifting weights, your muscle cells don't multiply. They just get bigger. That is pure hypertrophy in action. And it's the same reason your heart muscle thickens in response to high blood pressure. Now, on the flip side, what if you decrease the stress? Let's say you put your arm in a cast. Well, the body does the totally logical thing. It starts to conserve resources. This is called atrophy. The organ shrinks, and it does it by reducing both the size and the number of its cells. So how does a cell shrink itself down in such a neat, orderly way? It's this fascinating three-step process. First up, tagging. The cell uses a protein called ubiquitin, kind of like a little post-it note to mark parts of its skeleton for demolition. Step 2, demolition. An organelle called the proteasome acts like the demolition crew, finding those tagged parts and just breaking them down. And finally, step 3, self-cleaning. The cell recycles its own old parts through a process called autophagy. It is incredibly efficient. Okay, but what if the problem isn't the workload, but the entire work environment? Sometimes just changing size isn't going to cut it. To survive a totally new type of stress, cells need a more radical solution. They have to change their job description entirely. This amazing process is called metaplasia. It's when one mature cell type gets replaced by another mature cell type. The new cells are literally reprogrammed to be better survivors in this new, harsh environment. It's like taking your entire workforce and retraining them for a completely new industry because the old one is gone. The classic example of this is a condition called Barrett's esophagus. So, normally your esophagus is lined with these flat, delicate cells. But if you have chronic acid reflux, that stomach acid is a huge constant stressor. So in response, the stem cells in that area get reprogrammed. They stop making the flat esophageal cells and start making these tough, column-shaped cells, just like the ones in your stomach, because those cells are built to handle acid. It's a pretty brilliant protective measure, right? And here is the absolutely crucial point. Metaplasia is reversible. If you treat the acid reflux, if you remove that stress, the stem cells can switch back to making the original cell type again. The body can totally heal itself if you just give it a chance. But what happens when that stress doesn't go away? When metaplasia, or that bad kind of hyperplasia, just persists for way too long? Well, that's when things can take a serious turn for the worse. This is where we get to dysplasia. Dys means bad, and plasia means growth, so bad growth. It's disordered, it's chaotic, it's precancerous. The cells start looking weird and abnormal, and the whole organized structure of the tissue just breaks down. This is the body's flashing red light, a warning sign that things are heading in a very, very dangerous direction. And this brings us to what might be the single most important takeaway of this entire explainer. Dysplasia, as scary as that word sounds, is still considered reversible. If you remove the stress, the tissue might return to normal. But if that stress continues, dysplasia can cross a line. It can progress to carcinoma, to cancer. And that growth is uncontrolled, it's invasive, and it is irreversible. That line between reversible and irreversible, it's everything. Now, of course, just when you think you have all the rules down, biology loves to throw in a few curveballs. So while the general rule is that these kinds of changes can lead to cancer, there are a couple of famous exceptions you should know. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, does not increase the risk for prostate cancer. And similarly, apocrine metaplasia of the breast, it's a super common finding, and it does not increase cancer risk either. Okay, phew. Let's pull all of these different pieces together now and just take a look at the big picture of your amazing adaptive body. So here it is, your cellular adaptation toolkit, all in one place. You've got getting bigger to handle more work, that's hypertrophy and hyperplasia. You've got shrinking to conserve resources, that's atrophy. You've got changing your entire cell type to survive, that's metaplasia. And then you have that danger signal, disordered growth or dysplasia. So the final message here is really one of balance. Our bodies are truly brilliant adaptation machines, constantly adjusting to the world around us and inside of us. But this amazing system, it has its limits. Chronic, unrelenting stress, whether it's chemical or mechanical or something else, can push these beautiful adaptive mechanisms right into a state of disease. So I'll leave you with a final thought. Your body is always listening. It's responding to everything you do every single day. So the question is, what stresses, both the good and the bad, are you asking your cells to adapt to?